Hello, my dudes. Welcome back. Ow. Welcome back to Future Fiber. This is a channel where I talk about all the crafty things I make, but we're mostly talking about knitting at this point. Today, we have podcast episode number 10. That's cool. For those of you that may have missed last week's video, I'm doing a giveaway for 5,000 subscribers, so go check it out if you want to win some yarn and a project bag. So to get the yarns for the giveaway, I was originally gonna go to my local yarn stores, or one of them in New York City, but then I actually ended up in Connecticut last week or the week before that, so I ended up going to a yarn store in Westport, Connecticut, Westport Yarns, and they had a really good selection. I've been there a couple times, but I would recommend, if you're in the area, go check them out. They were very nice and had a bunch of hand-dyed yarn as well as just like commercial yarn, so you get your balance there. So let's start with the finished objects. I don't really have a ton this time, which is interesting, even given the fact that, you know, I had an extra week of working on things, but I made some good progress on my work in progress. Wait, I keep saying work in progresses instead of works in progress, and I need to unlearn that from my speech. What was I saying? Oh my god, I am not doing well today, dude. I had cake for breakfast, and so it was on the up, but then like after I had the cake for breakfast, now I'm on the down, because that's the highlight of the day. I've already done everything that I could for this day, so now the rest of the day will be spent in disappointment that I didn't have cake for lunch or dinner. You feel? Anyways, let's just talk about the stuffs. You're here for the knitting, not my ramblings. So this week has been a week of resurrecting old projects from their grave. And you will see what I mean with this first finished object. I have a pair of socks. So these socks I've talked about in podcasts like 3 or 4 podcasts ago. So it's been a couple months. I put them kind of on ice because, one, I wasn't going anywhere. So like my transit sock projects were kind of on hold, and also on top of that, I lost the sock mojo, but they came back to me this week, which is, great. It's a good thing. So I finished up these Fleegle heel socks that I kind of freehanded, and then they're 2x2 rib on the top and through the cuff. And they're knit with Schoppel Wolle Zauerball Crazy in the colorway Garden Party. And I've talked about them so many times that you probably are sick of it, but they're done. And I have no more of this yarn left, which I'm very, very excited about. I love using the yarn all the way so that there's literally not even scraps left. I love that feeling for me. And you can tell this was the first one that I made that I ran out of yarn on, and this one was the second. So like the yarn distribution between these socks, not good. I had split up the yarns into like whatever I had left. I had attempted to split up into half. Clearly that did not really work here. So they could have been more matching, but they're not. And that's okay. Let's see. What did I do? Last time we left off on this sock, I was increasing for the Fleegle heel here. and I've managed to finish that and then do the cuff, the heel turn and the cuff. So that was what I did. So it wasn't even that much, but then I just kept putting it off, and I'm glad something came over me and I finished it. But I feel like I think I messed up on the Fleegle heel. Like, I feel like the sock is too long, slightly. I don't really mind because I don't mind my socks to be a little big because I wear my shoes a little big too, so it's just like fine. But I think next time if I do the Fleegle heel again, I need to start it earlier on the foot so that the back of it isn't as long, you know? But, you know, they're fine. They're really warm and cozy. And they're covered in cat hair because I wore them and I walked around the house with them and my floor is covered in cat hair. So, yes. Oh, before I put this other sock on, oh, this is so chaotic today. I undid the bind off on this first sock because I did it too tight. And then I knit like 2 more rows with like some little bit of the original yarn that I had, and I bound off using Jenny's stretchy bind off, and I think it looks good. It fits much better now. But I also do think maybe I need to not put these guys on sock blockers because they're a little loose around my leg, and I have this problem in general with socks where like the cuff part is always like too loose slightly. My foot is kind of narrow and my ankles are a little bit narrow, but then like the front of my foot is like regular people width, so it's kind of like that. So maybe I need to just work with less stitch counts. I did knit these on 2mm Chagu circulars, and I think depending on the weight of the yarn, sock yarn, I need to go down to a 1.75. I also found out I knit kind of loose, which might explain my rowing out real bad when I knit flat. So yeah, that was a recent development that I learned. I went to go knit with a friend, and then she was also knitting socks, and then she was knitting on 2.75s, and then I was knitting on like 2s, and my like fabric was still like, okay, granted my yarn was thinner and a little bit less rustic, but my fabric still was like way like drapier than hers. So, and she knits kind of tight and then I knit kind of loose, so it was like interesting to compare that. That was a side note. That was a tangent. But these socks are done. What's next? Finished object. Okay. Oh, yes. It feels like a lifetime ago that I finished this. Oh, I should also talk about what I'm wearing. Everything is so out of order today. I am wearing the summer shirt by Knits for Days. And I don't think I've worn them on a podcast episode before. I put a picture up on Instagram, but I don't think I ever wore it in a video. But I did talk about it in my ranking 2022 knits video. So if you want more details, go check it out. But I like it. I wish I had the patience to make another one, but I don't think so. Not anytime soon. Okay. Now we'll talk about the second finished object. This is the square neck camisole by Garn Slikt. Yes. And it's done. I like it a lot. This was knit with King Cole Summer Sock 4-ply in the colorway black, obviously. It wasn't actually When I went to knit night with this project, I had a person tell me like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're knitting on that small gauge with black yarn." Which normally I am inclined to agree, and it gets kind of hard to knit in the dark. Well, you shouldn't be knitting in the dark. Well, I guess you can if it's stuck in it. But anyways, it in lower light settings, it's hard to knit on this, but generally I didn't find it very difficult. The yarn, I think I said before, I really like because it has that 25% polyamide or like nylon, whatever quality with the cotton. So it makes it stretchy, which is really nice for the ribbing. I worn this a bunch of times already, so that's why like it's so wide and stretched out because it, you know, has to go around my body. But when I first finished this, it was like really small. So I think, well, not I think, I've already washed this once too because I had to block it and all stuff. If I like put it in the water, it'll shrink back and it's like not a big deal. But I'm very pleased with it. With both the yarn and the pattern. And I think it looks really good on me. I think I generally prefer kind of like square neck-ish necklines for my tank tops and tops. We've already had 2 square neck projects this year, and I hope to make more. What? This is also covered in cat hair. Maybe I don't knit in black the next time, because this just like attracts cat hair like nobody's business, and I have a white cat, so it's bad. The double knitting edges look really good. I think the one thing is that whenever you have to join the double knitting kind of vertically, I don't think I did the best job. I know you're supposed to do some sort of like Kitchener graft stitch, whatever, to sew it together. And I tried, and I know how to do a Kitchener stitch, but I guess I didn't do it right. Doesn't look that good. I don't know if you can see that. You're not going to be able to see that because it's black. But this is the join, and you can definitely see it. It's more visible. But it's towards the back and underneath the armpits, so you're not really going to see that too much. And I did the... I think I said this before, but I did the decreases on the side of the body, and I definitely think I would recommend you do that. Like I did the decreases, but it's still, if you look at it, it still looks pretty, you know, square. Like the body still looks pretty like straight up and down, and that might be because I am built like a box, but also I think it has something to do with, you know, the garment itself. You do decrease on the body quite a lot, but I recommend you do it unless you really like it loose in the waist area. So yes, or if you're knitting this up for a more masculine body, then maybe you don't have to do the waist shaping. I had a guy friend actually who was like, "Oh, that looks so good," and I was kind of like, "This would look so good on you actually." So I think that could be a look. I will say the black yarn, I am kind of worried about the color fading over time, but that's just like has to do with darker yarns in general rather than anything with this particular yarn. It didn't bleed too much when I put it in the water either, so I think it'll be fine. And maybe I will over dye it with black if it gets too faded over time. So that's that. Very pleased with this guy. I'm going to get a lot of use with this over the summer. So I'm happy to have this in my wardrobe, and I wore this a lot already. The next finished object, and this is the last finished object for this podcast, is the... So, I'm going to make a separate video about this guy. But it's a skirt. It's a knit skirt. And it's got a slit up the side here. And an elasticated waist. And this was made using the Central knitting machine. And this is not really my usual style. I made this because I had to go to an event and there was a dress code, and the dress code was nude. So any like brown, beige fit, I needed to improvise, and I didn't really have any of that color in my wardrobe already, so I didn't buy anything, and I didn't want to buy anything, so I used the yarn that I had. This yarn is the TLC dollar bin yarn that I got, one of them, and I used all of it to make this skirt. And what do I want to say about this? This was made with 4 panels that I sewed together with mattress stitch. So you can't really tell from where I kind of seamed it. You can kind of tell when I wear it, but I think I did a pretty good job of lining it up. And I made sure to really count my rows this time as I was working on the knitting machine. So, yeah. So that's that. And I folded over the top. Oh, the top, I kind of ran out of yarn, so I used some of the other yarn to hand knit it to extend the length. And then I just, what did I do here? I think I just whip stitched it down here and put the elastic in. The bottom edges are finished with I-cord, and I did that by hand. So overall, it didn't take me very long to do this. A couple days, like 3 days probably, which you might say is still like a lot of time for something that I'll basically wear once. But I don't know, it was between me spending 3 days using materials that I had with the time that I had versus me buying something to never wear again. So I just felt like it was like a better use of my resources at the time. So, and it was fun to see what I can do with the knitting machine. This is like very different. And I feel like, well, my cat got on the yarn, so like parts of it are like kind of frayed and busted looking, but like when I wore it, when I first finished it, I think it looked really polished for like a knitting machine project. And I think the Central knitting machine kind of gets a bad rep because just a lot of the things that a lot of the more beginner and like trendier things that go viral on TikTok tend to be just like straight up and down tubes, so it doesn't really fit a variety of bodies, but you can do a lot with it if you get a little creative and if you don't mind seaming, which I mind seaming, but it was that or I knit this by hand and I didn't want to do that. So yeah. But the inspiration for this, I think there's a bunch of designers that I saw on Instagram that are making knitted skirts like this that have patterns. So if you want to knit one by hand and not use a knitting machine, because this is like worsted weight yarn, which really limits your wearability of the garment. So if I did this again, I would knit it by hand and I would do like DK weight yarn or sport weight yarn, and then follow one of the patterns that I'm going to suggest. And one of them is the Venla skirt, I think, by Venla skirt. I think it's by the designer Milena Polina, And there's also the Dima skirt by Dima Patterns. And there's also the thin skirt by Wool and Beyond. So those are like different weights of yarn, I think. But they all have that. Well, Dima skirt is a little bit different because the edges are finished with crochet, but the Venla and the thin skirt, those both have I-cord edges on the bottom. But they're different weights. So depending on what you want to knit with and the vibe you're going for, I would choose accordingly. But I really like those and how they styled it. This is not really my color that I would wear as a skirt, so I put in all this work, but I do really think I should frog it. All right, let's get into works in progress. Let me talk about the other resurrection project, which is this Downton Abbey socks by La Fille Moi-Même. And this is a free pattern, and I started this a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago already, in an effort to use up the advent calendar yarns that I got. And so this is the one finished sock, and this is where we left off. And I hadn't cast it on the second sock. I got second sock syndrome real bad, and I didn't cast on the second one until this week, a couple days ago. And this is how far I got. Very pleased with the progress. I think I'm going to try and get it done in a very timely manner this time because I want to wear these. I think they're cute. I think I mentioned when I finished the first sock, but if you look at the toe here, it's very small in the front and then it like increases pretty rapidly. This is because I read the pattern wrong and started off with too few stitches. And so this time on this sock, I'm trying to follow the pattern kind of to the T here. And so it creates this more of a wedge shape. And I don't know how I feel about it because I like put it on my foot and I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. So if I did this pattern again, I think I would just do the regular rounded toe shaping that I usually do for most of my socks. Like the ones that I did for the Zauerball socks that I showed earlier. I think I would just do that and go straight into the pattern, the lace pattern. And I'm also trying to follow, let's see. It seems like I did follow the pattern on this one too for the heel, but this is like a toe up kind of gusset thing. So it's similar to how you do the Fleegle heel in the way that you start to increase, but it's a little bit different in my opinion because you still have to do the short row for the heel. And it creates this like more of that, the heel turn looks a little bit similar, a little bit closer to if you did it top down, but I don't really like this. I know you have to, why you do it, because the lace pattern isn't very stretchy up here, so to give that extra space in the foot, you do have to have some sort of extra stitches so that you have like more of a gusset and more fabric. But I don't really like the way that this looks because the contrast heel just looks really kind of not neat. This might also be user error. I might have not followed the pattern very well. So, I don't know. I'm like thinking maybe if I do this again, I explore a different way of doing the heel, or maybe do I dare even do this top down so that it makes more sense, like heel flap wise, maybe. Might have to steer away from my toe up affinity if I do this pattern again. But I am now at the part where I am increasing for the gusset in the foot. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep working on this. I did this basically in like a day and something, so I think if I just like commit myself to it, it'll be done pretty quickly. And the yarn information is from a Biscotte Yarns advent calendar from last year, so I don't really have the information, but I'll try and put it down below. Yeah, looks good. IMO. Oh yes. And I also redid the bind off on this guy too, because it was too tight. So I once again added a couple more rows and then just did a stretchier bind off, which is Jenny's stretchy bind off. And I did it. I've been doing the Jenny stretchy bind offs with a crochet hook because of all the yarn overs. I feel like trying to put the yarn overs with the regular needles was just not it. So works very well. I am kind of scared though that I might not have enough yarn because I have this much yarn. Actually maybe we'll be okay, but I am playing a little bit of yarn chicken again with this one. This year is just like, the theme is yarn chicken. Okay, so let's talk about our longtime resident, Miss Robinson Wrap cardigan. I've made a lot of progress on this guy. I'm actually very proud. I'm gonna wear it now. So I have one sleeve. I finished the body, and now I'm working on the other sleeve. Yay! And I'm not really looking forward to doing the straps, honestly. Like the I-cord straps. I'm like, I really want to almost buy the, I think Prim makes them, the Prim like I-cord maker. I know, I'm so lazy. Like, why do I do this hobby? What do I got to say about this so far? The pattern is really easy to follow, and it makes, I haven't run into any problems with it so far. But I guess I have a general question for the knitting community. If a pattern says every 8 rows decrease by X or increase by X, what does that mean? Does that mean by the time you get to the 8th row from the last time, on the 8th row you decrease, or is it that you finish the 8th row and then on the next round, which is the 9th row, you decrease then? So like, if in the first part of that, I guess in between the decrease rounds there will be 7 rows, but in the next one, in the second option that I talked about, that's you have 8 rows in between the decrease rounds. Yeah, let me know, because I don't know what I've been doing. I switch it up every time, so maybe it evens out that I have, just the similar amounts of length in the garment. But I am always confused by that, and I just do whatever, and I've never bothered to ask anybody. So yeah, let me know if you have opinions on that, or factual information rather, like opinions. Yeah, so this sleeve, the pattern is designed with a very slim fitting sleeve, and I think it works very well for my arm. If I wanted to be skin tight, I probably could have gone like a little bit smaller as well, but I like how it is right now, and it's going to grow a little bit with blocking. Although now I'm wearing this, I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should have made the sleeves a little bit longer, because this is like bracelet length, they call it, right? But I'll just stretch it with blocking, and I think it should be okay. So I have this much on the other sleeve, and it folds over like that. Okay, so I have to admit a mistake that I made, that I will not frog, because I am a demon. So this is the first side of the double knitted double knitted band that goes around the work. And this looks fine. It lays flat. The other side does not lay flat. it bunches up, like squishes up like that, because I knitted it too tight. I was not thinking and zoning out while doing it, and I guess I tugged really tight on the stitches, so now it's like, so it doesn't look that good. But am I going to undo all this double knitting? No. I'm just gonna block it, like stretch it to the max with blocking, and it's still not gonna fix it, I can already tell. But you know, this is a wrap over cardigan, so I do that. And who's gonna know? Me. And you, because I told you, but nobody else. Nobody else is gonna know. So I'm just gonna keep it. I'm not gonna do this again. I don't actually know if it's supposed to fold over this way or this way. But regardless, it's gonna be this way for me on this one. I know you're supposed to, like, in like Japan and Korea, like Asian cultures in general, like the tops, like if you fold them over a certain way, it's for like, you only are supposed to fold it over a certain way, because it's if it's reversed, it's for dead people, for funerals. But you know, I live in America, who's gonna know? Oh, whatever. So there we have it. And I think I should probably have this done by the next podcast, just in time for summer. But you know, it's been not that hot. Kind of warm if you're walking briskly, but it's not been that bad. So maybe I'll get a couple wears in before it gets blisteringly hot. But I kind of want another wrap over cardigan after this. I know. I don't learn from my mistakes. My pain. I don't learn from that. Because this is, like, I feel like the way that I am intending to wear this is really like a top, so that it's like closer fitting. But then I kind of want one that's a little bit more looser fitting. So I'm wondering if I should try out the one of the other wrap over cardigan patterns that's really out right now. There's so many. I thought about doing a video on it, but I don't think it'll be very interesting, so I am not going to. But yeah, there's so many free patterns out too that are wrap over cardigans, so maybe I'll choose one of those for another project after I'm done with this one and I have recovered from knitting in the flat for like eons. Yeah, I'm pleased with it. The mohair coloring adds these like stripes to it, and it's unevenly distributed throughout the garment, but I am like really not that bothered about it. If I was bothered, I could have done a lot more with like yarn management to like make sure that everything is spaced out correctly, but you know, I'm not that kind of girl. I'm just gonna keep knitting, and I don't really care. And I don't think it looks bad. Or yeah, I mean, I don't think it looks bad. If you think it looks bad, don't tell me. It's my house. It's my rules. But yeah, it's cozy and I love it, and I hope I can get it finished soon so I can get some wear. But I still have more of this mohair left after this. I got 2 balls that I didn't even crack into yet, so I don't know what to do with that. If you have any ideas, let me know. Because I'm not going to have a ton of the main, like the wool that I'm holding with it left, so I don't know what to do with it. Next work in progress that has been in the works is my Beyond Basic sweatshirt. Oh wow. She's really rolling up. You can't see anything here. But last time I was working on one of the yoke front parts, and then I did the other one, and then I've joined them in the round, and I'm now doing the front bit where it has this X crossover, which is a very cute detail and really makes the garment, in my opinion. Did you hear that? That's my stomach. I like it. I just gotta keep going. I think once I've joined this in the round, then it's gonna go so quick because I can just mindlessly go on autopilot. But right now it is I have to pay a little bit of attention because of the X crossover, but that should be done in a couple rounds. And originally when I looked at this pattern, I thought the X crossover would be made in the same way that the petite knit Ingrid sweater pattern would be made, like, you know, the mock cables section. I thought it would be made like that, but it's different. So it was cool to learn how to do this a different way. But I feel like it kind of yields the same result. But I do think this looks a little bit neater than the mock cables in the Ingrid sweater. So yeah, it's a learning experience. And this is knit with, I always gotta look. This is knit with Jamieson and Smith Shetland wool, 2-ply jumper weight in 54 gray and a lighter gray, which is 27 gray. My God, stop. And I don't think I will have enough yarn, but I'm just gonna keep going and see what happens. And I know they sell this in cones too, which is pretty exciting. So I might see if I want to give to myself. I don't know. We'll see how far I get, and you know, either I let this project rest until next year when I am free from the yarn ban-ish low, or I just, you know, crack and buy some more. We'll see how I approach this dilemma once we get there. And then the next guy is the Stella top by Tweedysheep that I am continuously working on. And this is knit with Colourmart Silk that I've been trying to get rid of and use up for like over a year now. It's a good value. Like, I bought 2 quantities of it, which meant, what is this now? 250. No, it means 300 grams of this. And I am getting a tank top, and I got a shirt, like a short sleeve shirt, and then I got a little neck scarf out of it, which I lost that scarf, which is a bummer. I think it's in my house, but I need to find it. The I Love Stripes scarf. I'm really bummed because I love that scarf. Anyways, tangent. So, did I say that this is by Tweedysheep? Somebody tagged me on Instagram with their finished Stella top, and it looked so cute. So I am feeling very motivated to finish this guy now. And I think I think it's gonna definitely fit. Once I block it, it's gonna bloom a lot. So yeah. And I've made some decent-ish progress from the last time, because I think I knit about 1 inch or 2 on this. So I'm just gonna keep going. I know for the body part, you have to knit about 30 centimeters before you split for the, not sleeves, what is that? Straps. You gotta knit 30 centimeters until you split for the strap. But so I'm like, what is this now? I think I have, all right, maybe I'm not that close. I'm like a little over halfway. Yeah, we'll see. Now I'm getting kind of scared though, so because I might not have enough yarn. I don't know what I'm gonna do if that's the case. Oh well. Just keep going. Don't think about it too hard. And so that's that. And I have one last work in progress that I cast on in the last 3 weeks. And that is the Olympe vest. I think they called it vest. By Le Pole. And I'm working on the back section right now. Oh, that's this way. Yeah. And, you know, it's fun. It's been really fun just switching up the colors. I didn't put any thought into this, really. Like, I'm not putting a lot of thought into the color selection, as you can probably tell. It's very random, pretty much. And I'm just gonna keep going. I'm holding a bunch of different yarns together, so I can't really tell you what's in here, but then I guess some of the notable ones are there's no notable ones. They're all from like my basket of scrap yarns that I have that I am putting into this garment. But I still don't think that's going to reduce my scrap basket to 0, which is kind of a bummer. So I gotta think of some other scrappy projects to do after I'm done with this guy. My plan here is for the edging, I think what I learned with my crochet scrap tote project was that as long as you do the finishes in like a cohesive color, like the garment is going to look not crazy. So I am going to do and a lot of people who made this project did that too, but I'm going to do the armhole ribbing, and then the neckline and button band and the ribbing bottom on the bottom of the garment in the same color. I think I have enough of Wool and the Gang Happy Shiny Cotton in like white that I could use, or cream rather, that I could use to do all the finishes. And I will be finally putting a huge dent in that yarn because I don't really like working with that yarn very much. I like the colors and but I don't like that yarn. So happy to be working on this. And it goes really fast because it's on, what is this guy? It's on 5mm, and you're just knitting because it's garter. The only thing that takes up time is if you're switching colors every time. So if you knit this like not with scrap yarn, I'm sure it'll go really fast. But then what's the point, right? Like the whole point is that you change colors. So that's this guy. And I think that's everything. I have some videos and projects in the works that I can't really share right now because but I'm excited for some new cast-ons. I am really itching to cast on another t-shirt pattern and then another tank top pattern, but I can't do that until I wrap up my Stella top because I don't have that many like smaller circumference needles. I don't have like duplicates of like 3mm or 2.75 or 3.25. Which, speaking of which, I lost the 3.25s. They're in my house somewhere. I just don't know where they are, so I can't use that. So anything I need to knit with that, I'm kind of maybe thinking about just using the 3.5s, and my gauge is just gonna be kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you think I should buy the 3.25s again, or if I should flip my house upside down trying to look for them. I'm leaning towards just buying them again, but maybe for the sake of the no buy, I should give a really good effort trying to look for them. So, oh god, I don't even know where it could be. Life goes on. All right, well, that's pretty much it for this episode. This is a long one because I rambled a lot, but yeah, go join the giveaway if you didn't, which is in the last video. I'm going to draw winners in next week's video, which is June 2nd, so watch out for that. And I hope you guys are having a good day wherever you are, and happy knitting, y'all. See you guys later. Tune in next week to find out if you want some yarn. I'm gonna go make some pasta to quell this growling stomach. Okay, goodbye everybody. Bye.